Welcome aboard the Ear to There podcast, the podcast that'll help you vacation like a pro in any Disney destination. For those of you standing, please sit down and hold on throughout our journey and get ready to learn how to have the time of your life. And now, here's your host, Phil Gramlich.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Ear to There podcast. My name is Phil Gramlich, and I am the owner and operator of Ear to There Travel, a Disney specialized travel agency. I'm here to help you vacation like a total pro in any Disney destination, including Walt Disney World, Disneyland, the Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, and Disney's Aulani Resort in Hawaii. You can find my blog, podcast, money-saving tips, or request a free, no-obligation quote over at eartotheretravel.com. Thank you so much for listening, and now on with the show. When Walt Disney World held its first marathon in 1994, about 8,000 runners towed the starting line. In 2016, more than 200,000 runners will take part in different Run Disney races throughout the year. I think it's safe to say they came a long way. Disney now offers races for runners of every skill level, from 5Ks all the way up to the appropriately named Dopey Challenge, where runners run 48.6 miles over 4 days. Walt Disney World, Disneyland, and soon Disneyland Paris all hold some of the best races anywhere on the planet. Here to talk with me about those races and their experiences are some fellow runners and big-time Disney fans. So first, in no real order, she's a mom, runner, and blogger. You can find her blog at noguiltlife.com. Patty Holliday, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, happy to be here. Thanks, Phil.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. Next up, she's also a mom, a runner, and a Disney blogger, whose site can be found at runeatdrinkdisney.com. Nancy Cullen, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, thank you.
All right, thank you for being here. Our third guest tonight is making her second appearance on a podcast. She's Allie Miller, and you may remember her from the Healthy Moving in the Disney Parks podcast. Allie, welcome back.
Thanks, Phil.
I didn't think you were there for a second. I thought we were going to have to record the whole thing again. Thanks for being here, Allie. And last but not least is a man who loves running Disney, the Kona Cafe, and long walks on a Polynesian beach. Welcome back to the podcast, Chris Yansick.
Thanks for having me, Phil.
All right, Chris, thanks again for being on. All right, so in the intro, I talked about how the Disney races have grown and gotten a little bigger and a little better every year. I just wanted to hear a little bit of, from you guys about how you got started running and what drew you to the Run Disney initially. Were you guys Disney fans first, or were you guys runners first?
Oh, definitely Disney fan.
Yeah.
I was not a runner at all. And I was in a group of moms that we all started talking about doing like 5Ks just to lose some weight. And one of them mentioned this awesome race at Walt Disney World. And I was like, okay, you've got my attention. Let's hear more about that. And that's when I learned about the 2011 Princess Half Marathon. The rest is history.
That was my first as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yes. So they get you with, Disney sucks you in with the parks and all that, not even telling you that you have to wake up at an ungodly hour to run in one of those races.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea of anything. And even back then, Nancy, do you remember, there weren't really a lot of blogs. Were podcasts even a thing back then? I don't even know. But there was no information out there. So that one I really went in blind and didn't know a whole heck of anything when I signed up for that race, other than it was princess themed and we ran through Disney World. And that was the extent of my knowledge.
But that's all I needed to know. I'm getting a trip to Disney. Okay, I have to do running, but I'm going to get a medal, so
exactly.
It's totally worth doing this. And, for me, signing up for a race that was in the long term was going to force me to do something every other day or every day. Yep. Whereas if I just said, I'm going to become a runner, there was no way I was going to do that.
Yeah, that's my story too. We're very similar in that sense. It was that carrot at the end of the stick was Disney World, and the running was like the way I paid for my trip to Disney World was to run 13.1 miles. So, yeah.
I'm so glad I'm not the only one, because I was like, I don't want to have to say this story. And then y'all said it, so.
Guilty.
Yeah, Allie, and you just ran your first Disney race a few days ago, basically, right?
It seems like about a month ago, but it was last weekend.
Yeah, so you ran did you do the glass slipper challenge? Is that what it was?
And the 5K, so did all three.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
Oh, cool.
I think they call that the Triple Crown now.
That's what people are calling it online. Yeah, the Triple Crown.
You should have got So I didn't follow it. So you got the 3 medals, right? And then did you get another medal for the? Did you end up with 4 medals for the weekend, or was it 3?
4. Yeah, I got awesome. The 5K, 10K, half, and challenge.
Yeah, so for me, like, when the more medals you get, the better, right? Like, for next year, after doing Dopey this year, I was like, I'm just going to do Goofy in 2017. I don't need 4 mornings in a row, waking up at 3 a.m. or 2:45. And then my daughter, who's 5, wants to run the 5K next year because she did the Mickey Mile this past year. So then I'm like, well, then it's just silly not to sign up for Dopey.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to have to do all 4.
Well, just remember, you're going to be running the 5K with her. Yeah, so.
Right.
You might as well just do that.
Yeah. It makes no sense not to do it that way. Chris, when was your first Disney race?
It was Marathon Weekend 2012, and I did the half marathon. And this was a relatively last-minute trip for me. Back then, you could actually register for these races sometime after the registration opened. I think I registered for it in November.
Hilarious.
I had lost a lot of weight back then, gained most of it back, unfortunately. But, that was kind of the reward for myself going and running. I think it was my 3rd half marathon. And, as I said, I registered in November. I booked my flight, booked my hotel, and 6 weeks later, I was there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
That was also my first Disney race, too. I did the half in 2012. I've been a runner a little bit, but I never thought about doing a race and I didn't even know it was a thing. And here I am, claiming to be a big Disney fan. I didn't even know they were running races down there. And then I saw it and I was like, I'm really going to try that. And that was my first one that I got to do. And we got lucky, I think, that year. The weather was decent. It wasn't too hot. I remember seeing a few of the races when it was the years, was it 07 when it was like.
Oh, when it was the sleet?
Oh, no, 07, I'm sorry. 2011, when it like sleeted and.
Ugh, terrible.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Did you guys do that one?
No.
Yeah,
no, I didn't. My first was Princess 2011. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and then there were a couple where they were really hot. And then they had the one, I forget which race it was, that was shortened this past year because of the lightning and.
Oh, wine and dine. Yeah.
That was kind of a mess.
But it was so hot that I didn't mind it at all.
Yeah.
It was shortened. I got the medal. I was fine. Goodbye. Went to bed.
Happily take that medal, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right, so speaking of the Disney races and your first ones, what's like your favorite part, I would say, of running a Disney race? Is it the medal? Is it the crowds cheering? Because I know there are a whole lot of people that cheer for those races. Is it running through the parks? Like, what's your favorite part of the race?
I think it's just the whole experience. You meet a lot of great people. You become friends with a lot of great people. You just the whole thing from start to finish, except for getting up so early. And it's just great running through the castle. It's magical. Running through the cheering crowd of Main Street, that's awesome. I also like seeing rare characters, and you will see some rare characters out on course. I remember that first one in 2012. I have my picture with Professor Ludwig von Drake.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I've never seen him before or since, so I'm so glad I got that one. So yeah, just the whole experience. It's just, if you're a Disney fan, if you're a runner, it's something you really have to do at least once.
Yeah, I noticed you didn't mention running through the water treatment plant as one of your favorite parts.
Well, I think that's everybody's fastest smile in the marathon.
Yeah, that or the Bible sports. Even though it's toward the end, that's the part that kills me.
That's always my death there.
I've got a huge random confession here. The water treatment section. I did the marathon for the first time this year, and I don't know what wonderful thing I did to deserve this, but when we went through the water treatment section, I smelled nothing.
Wow.
You're kidding. I thought it was awful this year.
I am wherever I was on the course at that point in time, I smelled nothing. And the two people I was with kept saying, "Oh, here's the stinky part," because they had run it before, and so they were prepping me. And when we went through, I was like, "Really? I smell nothing. Am I what's going on? Oh my gosh, is my nose failing? Is that the first thing shutting down on my body in this marathon?" And they were like, "No, it's really not that bad this year, huh? I don't really smell anything either." So the three of us didn't smell anything.
Well, and then, lucky.
Yeah. And then Wide World of Sports, everybody, warned me that it was just pure hell and that you'd hate it and it would be horrible. I enjoyed it. I'm a weirdo. I liked
you are a weirdo.
I know.
No, I gotta say, I didn't hate it. I don't hate that part.
I liked
it
because
I have no idea what's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I liked seeing the other runners coming out. It gave me something to look for. And I was looking for friends. I wasn't bitter. I was cool with that. I was looking for friends. And then once we got into Wide World of Sports, we went on so many different, just different things. We went on the track. We went on the baseball field. We went around soccer fields. It was just like distraction for me. So to me, that wasn't all bad. I know I'm the only person that has ever run that marathon that says that, but I didn't think it was all that bad. So I'm a big weirdo in that sense. But back to the original question, what's my favorite part of running Disney? And it is the community. It is the people that I've met. It is how, for the most part, we're all out there having fun, whatever fun means to you. If it's wearing a tutu and you're a dude or whatever, it's just having some fun. And so I love it because it's a fun experience, and I have met some of the best people through runDisney. So that's my favorite part of the whole thing.
Yeah, you really do. I mean, I've met, a lot of you guys, so many people through, runDisney or a running group, or it's just a really neat way to get out and meet people and just make connections. And, it's a lot of fun. And one thing, though, that I was thinking about, I'm sorry, when you were just saying you like watching people leaving Wide World of Sports when you're running into it. It's the worst part for me because I'm running in there knowing that they're going to be. I'm like, they're done, and I have all these fields that want to.
Yeah, they're like 4 miles ahead of you.
I know.
It was my first time, so I didn't know exactly what all that really meant. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but I do like out and backs, and I didn't think I would like out and backs because I am back of the pack. I am always, one of the slower people. So you would think that just gets old to see all these fast people run by, but I love watching them. I think they're amazing athletes, and so I don't know. It's kind of entertaining for me. The same thing at Disneyland Star Wars has a long out and back section.
Yeah, that was fun.
That's fun, right? Okay, so I did seeing these people who are almost winning as I'm just going out on 4. They're coming in on 11?
I think that's 11. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right after I hit that out and back, I saw my friend Steven whizzing by, and just
it's
thinking,
fun.
He's 7 miles ahead of me. It's just like, wow.
Yeah, he's really fast.
He is fast. I try not to do the math, but I just focus on their costumes or how their stride looks, because mine doesn't look like that, and there's a reason why I'm in the back, But I'm weird in that's an okay experience for me, but I do enjoy it. I don't know, strange.
So Allie, being the rookie and having your first race, what was your favorite part?
My favorite part was the fact that people who haven't been running long or aren't fast at all are perfectly fine to do these races. Yeah. The pace requirement is not crazy. The environment is 99% welcoming, and there's enough support and entertainment and distractions, whatever you want to call it, that it makes it possible for I couldn't even run a mile 9 months ago. And I just finished a half marathon, and the enormity of that blows my mind.
That is amazing that 9 months ago you weren't even a runner, and here you are running a half marathon. It's such a cool thing. That really wasn't me. I'd run for a while until, I ran a little bit in college, and because I was trying to lose the freshman 15, and then after college. But it's remarkable that you weren't a runner, and here you are running the glass slipper challenge plus another race. That's awesome.
It's magical.
It is.
Wait, so
I think there was some magic involved. I'm not
job,
sure.
Allie. Good job.
Allie, so I'm going to flip it right back around on you and ask you, what was your least favorite part of running the Disney race?
Are you ready for me to get on my soapbox?
Go ahead.
So it's kind of exactly what I just said. I feel like there were some elite runners, or there are some elite runners who run this race. It's not really marketed for them. And sure, it's a prestigious race and all that, but Disney's made it so accessible for non-runners that the majority of people are not experienced. And because of that, even though they print the little race rules in the book and all of that, you get 22,000 people on a road, you're not going to have them all behaving themselves. So you can't always pass on the left because there's always someone faster than you when you've got 10 people side by side on a 4-lane highway. And, yelling at people that we're in America and we pass on the left when they're on your left is just ridiculous. Like, stay safe. The goal should be that we all get there in one piece. I ran into that both times, actually, in the 10K and the half, people being ugly about that. And I'm like, this is chaos. There's thousands of people, and, some of them are in a dead walk on the left, and some of them are running straight through the middle. You just got to do what you got to do to move through the course.
Yeah, there aren't, unfortunately, there's not like a standard set of rules that people follow for these kinds of races, and that's the problem. And it's not cool when people get on you about, the things that they think you should be doing, and it's tough. It's like some people walk, some people run. I do both. I do the Galloway run walk for a lot of my races, and there is a lot of that. And I've heard there's a lot more of that with the Princess Marathon or Half Marathon weekend, I'm sorry, than with the other races. Is that it's a bit more of a high drama event than the other races. I haven't done Princess. That's what I've heard.
It is true. It is true. But the thing is, no matter where you race, most people don't know all the rules.
Right.
Any of these busy, packed races, there's always going to be people that don't know to go to the left, don't know to go to the right, don't pick their hand up before they run, before they're going to walk.
Right.
You just try to be the best. And especially that I didn't do Princess this year, but I've done it 4 or 5 times. And anytime somebody says something that's a little off color, I just tell them, I hope you win.
Yeah.
And then everyone laughs, and then they keep going, and they get all heated because I didn't let them bother me. You just can't. There's always going to be people out there that just don't do what they're supposed to do. You just have to kind of zone them out and not let it bother you. No, easier said than done.
Yeah, it's true. But there's going to be a butthead in every race, so
absolutely.
You have to just kind of just you can't ignore them because it's impossible. And it's funny. What always bugs me is when you see someone after the race and you have your medal, and they come up to you with their medal and they say, "Hey, what was your time?"
Ugh, the worst.
That's my least favorite part of any of the races. And when someone asks what my time was, because it shouldn't be about that. It should be about, hey, listen.
Yeah, how'd you have fun? Did you have fun? What would you like? Yeah,
exactly. We started it at the same spot. We finished at the same spot. That's what it's about. So anybody else have a terrible experience on a Disney race course you want to share? No.
I think that's why we keep coming back.
Yeah. It's really not that bad. I would say 99 out of 100 people are great, amazing, awesome, supportive people, without a doubt. I remember the first time I ran the Disney Full. This was for the 20th anniversary year.
Oh, that was the first time I did it too.
I trained and I trained and I trained, and I got the stomach flu 3 days before I was supposed to leave. So I went, I did it. It was probably one of the stupidest things I've ever done. But, around mile 18 or 19, there were people who could see that I wasn't doing that well, that, I had people offer me goo, I had people offer me support, and just, we got through it as a team, as a group. Even these were complete strangers,
right?
And there is, a lot of supportive people, and that's just great.
Yeah, the support along that course, any of the courses for the Disney races, is amazing. It really, it's the best that I've seen. I've never run Marine Corps. I know that people say the support along that course is, the best in the world.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but the Disney's really good, and people can read your name on your bib, and I love that the strangers will yell your name out and say, you're doing great, you're killing it, and it's great to see that. But Chris, I was thinking that just reminded me of when I did for 2015. I came down with my family, and I signed up for Goofy, and my family had the flu the whole week before we came. And I was popping airborne like they were Tic Tacs, and I was just trying my best to make sure I didn't get sick. We landed on the day before the expo started. I was fine. We went to lunch at the Catempo Cafe. I was great. And then we were with the kids. We had our twins and our 5-year-old meeting, or 4-year-old at that time, meeting Cinderella. And I looked at my wife in line and I said, I'm going to pass out right now. And she was like, oh my God. I ran outside. And then we went right to the room, and I missed both races.
Oh,
I felt so bad for you then.
That's the worst.
And you guys and people I knew were running, and I was posting my pictures to try to be funny, lying in bed with because my daughter had it too. You guys were all posting your race pictures, and I'm posting on Facebook and Twitter my pictures of me lying in my bed at the Contemporary.
That's tragic. Yeah, sorry.
It's such a bummer. It's such a bummer when you pay the money, and it's not even really the money. It's the months and months that you put into it, and you're so excited, and you get there, and you're like, oh man, it's just the worst. But what's really funny is I looked in my bag, and I never even thought about this. On the way home, the last day of our trip, I looked in my suitcase, and I hadn't packed one pair of running shorts, not even one. And I was supposed to, and it's almost like I completely forgot. It was like a brain cramp, but it was like my brain was like, dude, guess what? You're not running in them anyway, so you might as well not bring them with you because you're not going to be able to run. Like somehow subconsciously, I knew I wasn't going to be able to run anyway.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, so I would have been.
That's hilarious a year later. But if it were
exactly.
I don't think it would be so funny.
It wouldn't be so funny in the moment.
No, it wasn't.
Exactly.
God,
it wasn't. But
poor thing. Yeah, but then you came back and did Dopey the next year.
Yeah, I got
crushed
to do Dopey.
It. So there you go.
So that was fun. And
I do have to tell you. No, I'm just going to let you guys know if you're starting to feel a little crowded, about mile 10, 11, when it's on that, on ramp, and then you go over the highway and up. You're starting to feel a little crowded. All you got to do is toss your cookies. People will give you lots of space.
Oh, no.
Did you see that? Did you witness that?
Yeah, sure. I witnessed it. Totally wasn't me.
Girl.
I saw someone do that at mile 11, and they were giving her lots of room.
Oh, boy.
I didn't know about this.
I think it was mostly anxiety.
Yeah.
Because it was getting close to the end. It was my first half marathon ever, not just my first Disney race. So I was starting to feel like, I don't know if I can do this. And it was like hill upon hill upon hill upon hill.
Yeah.
The end is tough.
The end is tough. Yeah, people think Florida doesn't have hills, right? And then you get to the ramps at Disney.
Oh, you have on-ramps. That's it.
Those on-ramps, I never noticed how steep they are.
Yeah, and you also don't notice or realize that you do the same ones on the outbound that you do on the inbound. Right. So when you're first running those first couple miles, you're all hopped up and hyper and excited because this is awesome and we're going to go run through the Magic Kingdom. And so you don't notice it. But if you look at the map, you do some of the same hills, at least one of the same hills. And you go down an off-ramp, which for me, that off-ramp coming up it at mile 10 isn't the problem. It's the slanting. And so when you're going on that slant, the same slant, going down the off ramp, in that first, I think it's like mile 1.5 or 2, somewhere around there. I hate that. That's what I'm just like, I hate walking on those slants because it's not comfortable. And if you have any IT band issues like I can have at times, that's not helpful to be, slanting like that. So, but yeah, that took me, I think it was the third year that I ran this race that I realized, oh my gosh, we like run the same hill going out. And then we run it coming back in too. And I didn't realize that on the outbound, you still have those hills, or at least one of them. So kind of crazy.
Not to mention, that's where the course narrows. So you go from 4 lanes to 1, and it's like you can't run, you can't walk, you can only go at the speed that the crowd is going.
Yep. That's a little frustrating. It's a little frustrating, but then it opens up, and you get to go through the toll booth, and it's all beautiful. So
it's at that point when you smell like 100 people around you use deodorant when you're going through that part, because that is tight. Like, you can't forget about running. And then you see all those people who run on the grass at that point, and that would make me so nervous that I would step in a hole or something to break my ankle. I definitely just stay with the crowd with that. All right, so moving on to a different question. So here's one I thought would be kind of interesting. If you guys had any advice to give to someone who just signed up for their first Disney race, what would it be? And Allie, do you want to take it first just because you just did your first Disney race?
So I would start a tiny bit before that when they're going to sign up. And I would say, go bigger than you think you can do. Because, when I couldn't even run a mile, a half marathon sounded like you might as well tell me to change my eye color. There's no way. So I actually did not register for the half until like a month and a half ago. And I mean, it was this drama nightmare with trying to upgrade and, cancel and refunds and all this stuff. And it really didn't need to be that. If I had just believed in myself in the first place and realized that you trained for the race you're signed up for, it would have made my life so much easier and less expensive.
That's a good one, Alyson. Yeah, I like it. I would say my number one advice for everybody is please go run a race for proof of time. And don't forget to submit it. I think there's so much drama and stress that comes from the whole corral situation, and it's really shouldn't. I mean, I've run from the back, I've run from the middle, I've never run from the front, but I've run from different locations, and really it doesn't matter. You run what you're going to run, right? So it doesn't matter, but I'm also a total mental head case, so I know in my head that it does matter to some extent that I want to be, starting as soon as I can. For me, it's more the start issue. Like, I don't want to be waiting around for an hour. Yeah. If I can only wait for 30 minutes, that's better for me mentally than waiting for an hour. It has nothing to do with time. It's that period of just sitting there stressing myself out before I can get moving. So to relieve that, I really that's always my number one thing is I know you think you're going to be in the back anyway, but you may surprise yourself. Sometimes the rumor is that submitting any time is better than submitting no time, meaning you might get bumped up a corral or two, particularly at the princess race. So that's my number one suggestion to anybody that's running is go ahead, find your proof of time, pay attention to your proof of time, submit your proof of time, and screenshot your proof of time.
Absolutely.
So that you, when the corral situation kind of rolls around and finally comes into existence, you will be more comfortable about it. And, let me just tell you how I learned this story. Remember back how I mentioned in 2011, I signed up for this race, and I think I signed up for it in August. And started training for it, and I was all excited. I knew nothing about proof of time, and I think I just put down that I would finish in 3 hours, 3:15, something like that. I knew no background as to how this race actually worked. Well, come October, I discovered I was pregnant. Oh. Yeah. And being the princess that I am, I was not giving up that half marathon. I was still going to do it.
Good for you.
However, thank you. But however, I was much, much slower. I went from an 11, 12-minute mile down to a 16-minute mile super quickly, way fast. So I just happened to be on the runDisney website in December and discovered the whole proof of time section. And I had a 10K from when I was a little bit faster, and I went ahead and fired off that email and sent it in. And thankfully, that put me, this is again 2011, that put me in B Corral for that princess. Well, my time was well over 4 hours for that first pregnant princess half marathon because I was 6 months pregnant and I was waddling, much less running. There was no running going on. Now, if I hadn't submitted my proof of time, I would have been swept. I wouldn't have made it. You know what I'm saying? Right. So while I'm not a big believer in like padding your time, you should really be where you should be. At the same time, I am a believer in if you've earned a corral and you have the proof for it, submit it. You know, go ahead and do it. And you never know what life may throw at you. So it might be worth going ahead and submitting and running a 10K ahead of time to make sure that you can get, you know, a little bit out of the back of the corrals.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if you think about it, if you're doing a half, you only need to do a 10K.
Yeah.
And so it's not like you're, you know, and you're supposedly going to build up to a half anyway. So if you do a 10K, it can be part of your training.
Exactly.
Right? So stick the 10K in after 3-4 months of training, and you'll be at the perfect time. And just having anything is going to be better than being in the last corral, because that's when they have so many more people in the last 2 corrals anyway. So it's just to be a little bit ahead, because I always say the sooner you start, the sooner you're done.
Yeah.
You know, and just being able to get out of the sun for me, like for the full.
Amen.
I want to be as far in front as I can, because as the sun comes up, like Chris, my first half of full, was the 20th anniversary also. I wasn't sick and I was dying because it was so hot. And if I had started at, I think some people didn't even start till 6:15, 6:30. If I had started that late, I would have been out in, 1 o'clock in the afternoon in the heat, and it would have just been horrible. I think my biggest piece of advice for somebody that's just starting and signing up for their first Run Disney race is to train, find a plan, do the plan. Don't worry. Like if you miss a run or two, that's fine. But, sometimes you see people on Facebook or something saying, my longest run was 2 miles. Do you think I'll be okay?
No.
You'll be great, buddy. Don't.
Look, if you're doing a 10K, you'll be fine. If you're doing a half, you're going to be in pain, and it's just not worth it, because then, you're done. It's 9:30 in the morning and you're completely toast for the next day, and you've just wasted all that time and money instead of being able to celebrate with your friends and your family with your medal. Instead you're stuck in bed, and it's just, why risk any sort of injury? You're not magically going to go like Alyson, you started running 9 months ago, but I don't think that you I ran a mile, now I'm going to do 13 tomorrow. You have to
not
build
at all
up. Exactly. You have to build up.
Trained.
That's exactly.
And, it worked. To your point, like I was not the plane ride home, because we hadn't planned to run the half on Sunday. And we flew out Sunday afternoon. So that was a little miserable, the plane ride, but I woke up on Monday and I didn't hurt a bit, because I took care of my body and I did what I was supposed to do. But also, to piggyback on yours, if you can find a training partner, I am so blessed to have an incredible friend who not only is crazy enough to run with me, but we're really, really evenly matched in terms of pace. And she was there with me and we ran the races together, and there was nothing like it. So if you can find that would be good too.
Yeah, so my training partner is my treadmill most of the time. I run inside a lot and watch Star Wars, so I don't really have a great training partner. But Patty, I can't believe you ran a half marathon. You said half marathon, right?
Yeah, well,
that's insane to me.
Run is in air quotes. Let's be honest. That was a lot of walking.
I won't even
there
carry
was a little bit of running.
I won't even carry water. I won't carry water on a race with me because it's too heavy. So if you carry the kid around, that blows me away.
Yeah, I did it with, like I said, about 6 months pregnant.
Oh
and I actually, it was a pretty warm day, and so I drank a lot of water because I was concerned about dehydration just because I was pregnant, which then, of course, kind of backfires, because then I spent a lot of time finding bathrooms.
Yep.
So it was just a very long, miserable. And let me tell you, at the end of that experience, I swore I would never run again. I would absolutely never run a half marathon again. And I could barely even walk because I think nine out of the 10 toes had blisters all over them. It was just, that's not probably a normal pregnant mom story. It's just, that's what my pregnant mom story was. It was bad. It was really, really bad. But, I think it took about 2 months, 3 months. And then just like childbirth, you kind of forget about things, and registration opened up again, and holy cow, there I was signing up again.
It's amazing how you forget. You do.
You do
forget. You it was so funny. For me, it's a month. My wife, when I was talking to her yesterday, I said, what? I think I'm going to do Dopey because, like I said, our daughter wants to do the 5K, and it's silly not to do it. And she's like, Phil, you hated it. She's like, you hated doing that. And I said, I loved it. What are you talking about? And she said, no, you didn't. She said, she was like, the day before the full, you were like, I'm not waking up tomorrow. I'm not doing it. But I did, because that alarm goes off. And after you look at the ceiling and you're like, no way. I'm not doing this again.
Well, because you don't want to tell all these new great running buddies that you met that, I bagged it.
No, you can't
tell anybody.
So you put your sneakers on and you get out the door, and
you shed a couple of tears and you'd go.
Yeah, once you're outside that hotel room door, I think you're okay. It's just getting out the door. You just think you're in that bed and you're comfortable and you're at Disney. But I'm so glad I did, because I look at my medals every day, and it is a really awesome sense of accomplishment to just.
Oh, like, Dopey is huge. Like that's crazy impressive to me. And I watched 2 friends do it this year, and they were just, what I got from it is just how tired they were, because not only are they awesome Dopey runners, but they were awesome park goers. And so they were out at the parks the whole time, and then turning around and doing all these races super early in the morning. And I don't think I saw either one of them nap or chill or anything. They were just go, 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 which also is a huge testament, holler Suzanne, holler Kristen, to your physical fitness, because these girls had this thing in the bag. They had it going on. So it was really impressive to see all of that, and how you guys that are doing Dopey can manage this for 4 days in a row. That's amazing. Yeah,
those 2 were awesome. I couldn't keep up with them if I tried, but they did. They were awesome for doing all those races. I was the same way. I didn't get a chance to take a break. We had, like I said, we have twin 3-year-olds and a 5-year-old. My wife wasn't running the races, so I would get back to the room, take a shower, and it was time to hit the parks. So we were in the parks until 7, 8 o'clock at night every night.
You're amazing. No way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
No, you know what happened though? After the marathon, every night I was falling asleep at like 8 o'clock. I couldn't stay awake. I was falling asleep on a monorail.
I've fallen asleep on many monorails, so you're not alone there.
But even with the smell, I guess over when it's January, the smell of the monorail isn't too bad at that point. But
it is after the races.
Yeah, that's a good point. The monorail wasn't running after a couple of them. I had to bus it back, I think, after the half. Which is actually when I met the infamous Santa Claus guy who runs.
Oh yeah,
have you guys seen him?
Yeah, we ran with Santa Claus during the marathon. We caught up with him he caught up with us, I guess, around like mile 19 or 20, right before Wide World of Sports. So I was like, hey, it's Santa.
Yeah, he's actually a really cool guy. I talked to him a little bit in line for for one of the buses on the way back to the resorts, and we got into a conversation about my kids, and he pulled out this little bag that he carries with him, and he had coins that said "From Santa from the North Pole," and he had one for each of my daughters and one for my son, and they were different
that's
for
adorable.
boys and girls. And he does it for charity. He has a big charity that he runs. So
that's awesome. Very cool.
I forget his name, so I'm going to try to remember to put it in the show notes. So if you look at this, if you're listening to this show later on, you'll be able to look at it and check out his charity, because it's a pretty cool thing that he does. All right, so last question I have for you guys is: are you signed up now for any races in the future, and what Disney races are you guys looking forward to
Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Yeah,
Star
I think.
Wars.
Are we all going to Star Wars? Yeah, I'm going to Star Wars too.
No, I'm not going to Star Wars.
Poor
They just
Allie.
opened up. They just opened up more registration.
You can do it.
No,
You
I
can
know.
do it.
And believe me, Facebook knows what it's doing with its ads because every 6 posts on my feed after I posted all of my race photos this weekend, every 6 posts was, we have registration for Star Wars.
Yeah.
But I can't swing it that close, But next year for sure I'm doing Princess and I'm going to go to Disneyland and do Tink for my Coast to Coast because the Tinkerbell hat next year is on my birthday.
Oh, you'll love it.
Oh, that's a sign.
Tinkerbell is Tinkerbell is my girl. I love that race. It's wonderful. I'm not gonna run it again because of Mother's Day. I'm still bitter. I know it's been 2 years and I need to let it go, but I absolutely love that course. I love the experience. So you'll have a fabulous time, especially for your birthday. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to run I haven't run a Disneyland race yet.
I love them.
You really need to.
Well, you can come do Tink with me. I'll buy you some wings.
Dude, I might do it. Wait, wings like the food or wings that I have to wear?
Both.
Yeah. All right, then
Sure.
That's
At the same time.
Phil, the best thing for us East Coasters about a West Coast race is that a 2:30 a.m. wake-up call is really only 5:30 in the morning for us.
That's really
Which
awesome.
is pretty much the normal wake-up time anyway.
Yeah,
well, you can even adjust that a little bit more because the secret to the West Coast races, what makes them rock, is there is no 2:30 wake up. I don't know what you're doing up that early. You don't have to roll out of bed till 4 o'clock at West Coast races because your corrals are right there by your hotel.
Awesome.
It's just awesome. You wake up, you throw your clothes on, you stroll to the corral, and then you run. You don't have to do that bus business. You don't have to work. Oh, it's just I am a fan of the West Coast races. Those are my favorites. I do love me some of the East Coast there, but I will run anything any day over at Disneyland because that's where I love. Just everything about it.
Where you can meet BB-8.
Oh
like
gosh,
I did at Disneyland. That was awesome.
That was awesome. He's definitely, that was the best race experience, the race character that I've gotten so far is finding BB-8 on the course. That was pretty awesome.
Where are the corrals are near the Disneyland Hotel? Is that where they
Yep.
Yeah, they're kind of outside Paradise Pier and Grand Californian.
Okay. Yeah, so I wouldn't have to go too far afterwards to go to Trader Sam's, as you were telling me.
No, that's exactly what we're telling you.
Yeah,
that is
awesome.
Exactly what we're telling you. You will finish in the parking lot for most of the races. I think Tinkerbell's the only one that you don't do this, but it's still super close. But you finish in the parking lot of the Disneyland Hotel. So you're 3-minute walk to Trader Sam's from the finish line. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty sweet.
When I'm in Disneyland, that's where I spend about 75% of my time.
Yep.
Trader Sam's. I love the one at the Polynesian too. They're both great, but the Disneyland one is just such a cool experience to go in there. It's really, really neat. All right, guys. So I think that's going to wrap it up. And so thank you guys all for coming on. It's a lot of fun. I really appreciate you giving up your very valuable time, especially at night. I know it's kind of late for everybody to record. So thank you guys for taking the time out and coming on and recording this with me. I appreciate it.
Oh, sure thing. Thanks for having us,
Anytime,
Phil.
Phil.
All right, guys. So really quickly, yes.
So I just have one quick thing I wanted to share that I learned the hard way.
Sure.
If you finish a race in Walt Disney World and you're going to stay in Epcot, there's no place in Epcot to get breakfast. If you don't have a reservation for either Garden Grill or Akershus, you can't get breakfast in Epcot. That is not a fun thing to learn after a 10K. That's all.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ouch.
That's all.
I've done.
There might have been tears.
I've done the eating. I've eaten potato chips for breakfast at Epcot because I couldn't find somewhere for breakfast. Is in what's it called in the Land Pavilion? Sunshine Seasons, is that open for breakfast or am I crazy? Anybody know?
You're not crazy. They used to be, but now that Soarin' is closed,
okay.
They don't have the traffic, so all they have is yogurt and donuts. And I'm like, I want bacon.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
I want bacon.
Yeah.
I mean,
a true runner is born.
Yeah, yogurt is not yogurt.
like,
yogurt
don't
will not
offer me
cut it.
fruit.
No. All right, so All right, thanks again, guys. And Allie, thank you for the tip. So just to wrap it up, I'm going to go through and say thank you to everybody. But Patty, so where can we find you again if we want to look you up on Facebook or on your website?
Yeah. Thanks. My blog is noguiltlife.com, and Facebook page is the same thing. Twitter's the same thing. Instagram's the same thing, and I'm generally around.
All right, awesome. So thank you for doing this again. And Nancy, if someone wants to check out your blog on all things Disney and your very honest opinions, where should they go?
I have a website called runeatdrinkdisney.com that I am a terrible updater with, but when I do update it, it's, like you said, it's pretty honest. So
now
enjoy.
You're going to feel compelled to update it more because now you're
yes,
going to be.
Now it's out there. Now it's in the universe. Right.
Right. All right. Well, thank you
Phil.
again. Yeah, no problem. And Allie and Chris, thank you guys both for doing this again. I really appreciate it. And we're going to do, I'd love to do another one of these after the next, maybe after Star Wars, we'll do one of these to wrap it up for everybody that's doing Star Wars.
Yeah, that'd be a good one since it's an inaugural. We can totally rip it apart, or hopefully give it a big group hug.
Yeah,
and say how much we
I'm probably gonna group hug it no matter what. I just have that
feeling.
Right?
It's Star Wars and it's new courses. I am so psyched for a 10K course that is not the out and back and around boardwalk.
Yep.
Totally. Word.
And I'm gonna be there by myself with no family. So
lucky, me too. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, you know what? My wife is going to hear this, so I will not say that I'm looking forward to it. But
you were telling me just the other day how disappointed you were, Phil.
Chris, that's not true at all.
I tried to convince my husband to let me go. I'm like, I could just go with Phil.
Yeah.
Well, all right, guys. Thanks a lot. It was fun.
All right, thank you, guys. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.
That'll do it for this week's episode of the Ear to There podcast. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you had as much fun listening as we had talking about this topic. If you enjoyed the podcast, please check out the blog over at eartotheretravel.com. It's full of interesting articles, fun stories, Disney recommendations, and a lot more. You can also head over there to request your free, no-obligation quote for your Disney vacation. I'd love to help you plan your next trip to any Disney destination, and remember, my services are always free of charge. Thanks again for listening, and watch out next week for the newest episode of the Ear to There podcast. Have a great week. Bye-bye.